Governor J.B. Pritzker signed a new state law this morning to prevent workers with disabilities from being paid less than minimum wage. Taylor Fleming has more details on that law and how it impacts Central Illinois.
Lizzie, before this law, employers in Illinois could get a special certificate that determined how much a person with disabilities would be paid for their work. Now, over the next 5 years, employers must phase those sub-minimum wages out. Starting in 2030, employers in Illinois won't be able to pay employees with disabilities less than minimum wage. The Fair Labor Standards Act, a federal law from 1938, allows employers to get special certificates to pay employees with disabilities less than minimum wage. The new Dignity in Pay Act will phase out this system in Illinois.
People with disabilities face poverty at a higher rate than people without disabilities. This bill creates a time frame, a place for people with disabilities to be able to acquire wealth and be able to contribute in society with their full selves.
According to Governor J.B. Pritzker, the transition period is meant to keep disruptions to employers minimal and to make sure the changes don't cost the disabled community jobs. Epic, a Peoria organization that hires workers with disabilities, say that they have been getting ready for these changes for a couple years.
We've been anticipating this to go into play for a long time now. So we've already been hard at work making sure that we are adjusting schedules and being flexible, and everyone at Epic makes minimum wage.
Epic is also working with organizations in the community to make sure that people with disabilities are making at least minimum wage, and they say that most jobs get minimum wage. They say a similar organization, Tazewell County Resource Center, also pays all employees minimum wage already. There are 18 other states that have already taken similar steps to eliminate paying people below minimum wage. Governor Pritzker said the Biden administration had taken initial steps towards similar protections on the federal level, and the ball is now in Trump's court. Lizzie?